What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Pushing Media podcast / interview for episode 3, where we have a special guest and a special friend of mine, Brody.
How you doing? You all right, Connor? How are you feeling today?
Great enthusiasm, pal.
Yeah, great. I don't know what's going on. You texted me last night. You're like, "Do you want to come and do this?" I was like, "All right then, sure, I'll do it." So here I am.
I mean, I thought it'd be interesting to pick possibly one of the most interesting minds in our AM scene, because I think you do have one of the most interesting minds.
What can I say? I'm full of surprises.
That you are, as I've learned through the past. You are. But shout out to Socially Esports who power this podcast and, of course, power Pushing Media. Thank you for all the help you guys give. And, of course, by the title, as you can tell, the voice behind the screen. So if you guys don't know, I'll let Brody explain who he is.
Do I have to do it? Do I have to?
Just tell him what you do.
Just tell him what I do. I guess I'm a Call of Duty caster. So I've been casting Call of Duty for 3 years now. And I do it in the amateur scene, so in Europe, and that's just my whole thing. I also do a little bit of podcast work on the side here and there, but I'm sort of taking a little break from that for now.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I'm intrigued to know, and I think a lot of people actually might not know this, because even I don't know, what is it that got you into casting? Like, where did you actually start, and where did you realise that, whoa, like, I want to do this?
I think it's quite funny, actually, because I must have said this before somewhere on some podcast, but I think it was Black Ops 3, where I was playing GPs with a team, and I think I just started deciding to cast when I died over my teammates.
Like mid-game?
Yeah, just mid-game, just started casting when I died over teammates. And I actually kind of enjoyed it. It was kind of weird. And so I just got to the point where I was like, oh, well, actually, you know what? I'll give this a go. I'm god-awful at playing. So I'd give casting a go. So I just messaged some random Twitter tournament. I can't for the life of me remember what it was. And I just asked if I could cast their games for free. Did, and it was from there on out the rest of history.
I actually never knew that. That's quite interesting.
It's probably for a game. The worst origin story I think you'll ever hear of anyone in the esports scene, but that's what it is.
And so what, essentially just literally from that, you just then started doing what you do now, realistically? Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a long journey. I think for me personally, given sort of how casting looks now in the amateur European scene, it looks a lot better off than it did 3 years ago. I can tell you that much. So I've been through the motions, I think, in between now and then.
I can imagine 3 years. I mean, I've only been here for a year with you. So 3 years, I can imagine it was a stretch. So what game was it you started? All the way, obviously.
Black Ops 3. I literally casted the end of Black Ops 3. So I think I know the exact date I started casting, because I looked back at it in my tweets a couple of years ago to make sure I knew the date. It was 26th of September. So I literally casted Black Ops 3 for the last month or so. And even then it was very, very little, because obviously I've just started, so I'm not going to get a lot. So if you can really say I casted Black Ops 3, I casted a little bit of Black Ops 3.
And from then you've been just straight going, no stops, like...
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really taken a break. I don't really need to be honest. I think I am now one of the main casters in the amateur community, and you know how the amateur community works. It's worked the same way for those 3 years now straight, where it's just sort of like constant influx of seasons, online stuff, whether it be EG, Val, Unity, Esports Universe, name after name of league that goes through. I've had a steady line of work across that 3 years.
I mean, that's what I was going to go to next. Obviously, you've worked for literally various people, Belong, EG, ESPU. Some of them you still work with to this day, obviously. Going to continue going forward, I imagine.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's the thing, right? With esports and with this specifically, I can't speak too much of esports as a whole, because I'm not a professional esports caster by any stretch of the imagination. I'd love to be, but I'm just not. Yeah. But in the amateur scene, at the very least, I sort of... leagues chop and change, right? I mean, the fact that I think I could probably off the top of my head name at least 5 league organizers over the past 3 years that I've casted for, not full time, but they as my main league caster, says a lot about the way the scene has changed in that period of time. But hopefully there's a sort of I get to cast for someone who becomes my mainstay casting group very soon. I think that has sort of happened over the past year as well. I mean, EG has stayed now solid for the past year, and we're going to continue to work for them in Modern Warfare. So, but I'm enjoying all of it. So
That's good. And obviously, moving forward to Modern Warfare, a completely new game. Obviously, we done Black Ops 4 together last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going into Modern Warfare, and you actually made a debut cast last night, I believe.
I
Was
did.
that your debut cast, yeah?
It was, yeah. And honestly, I was the first match. Haven't done any casting at all. I've sat in one scrim, casted one map, and I'll be honest. At this stage of the game, so just for context, maybe you're watching this podcast back if you really are that bored watching me podcast. Down the line, at this point in time, contextually speaking, it's November 18th. The game it's not just come out, but we're still early days in the game, and Codcaster is bloody broken. It's really broken. So I sat in that scrim. I was casting a team. I casted the first map. Couldn't use Codcaster, so I was just like, nah, I'm just gonna go cast my first match and hope for the best. It wasn't that bad, actually, to be fair.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, I know what you mean by it's broken. I've wanted to do a few scrims to test it out, and it really is shocking. So for casters this year, hopefully that does get fixed, obviously, because it's a bit of a pain at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, Infinity Ward, they know what they're doing for the most part. I mean, their reactions to sort of the community and what they've wanted has been pretty good so far for the most part. There are still a couple of changes that one could hope for inside the game itself, you know, in reference to Dead Silence and skill-based matchmaking. Those are sort of... And what, sorry?
Shotguns.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I can agree to that. But they have been nerfed. The 725 got nerfed, and of course, the M4 got nerfed as well. So those kind of changes, I like how Infinity Ward are sort of working with the game for now. They're, you know, on that basis alone, I can kind of see that Codcaster will get fixed. How soon it gets fixed is another question, because we've got quite a bit of casting work coming up in Modern Warfare, and I kind of like it to be fixed for that, because I can't deal with the stress of trying to switch player and having to wait 10 seconds to do so. Infinity Ward, please fix Codcaster. It makes me want to cry. But it will get fixed. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, now obviously Call of Duty is not your only game that you've casted, is it?
It's not. Call of Duty is my mainstay game. This is it's a bit weird. So I casted Rainbow Six a little bit. Well, must have been. It was last year now. I casted about 2 matches of Rainbow Six. I'll be honest, I didn't really enjoy it. I think Rainbow Six, having casted it, having taken a shot at it, I just think coming out of the back of that, I was like, not really my thing. I also casted PUBG, and I actually did really enjoy PUBG. I think PUBG has to be one of the best experiences I think I've had casting esports as a whole over the past 3 years. And I'd absolutely do it again. Someone asked me to cast PUBG, I'd do it in a heartbeat. It's really fun. It's a nice, I think, change of pace from Call of Duty, especially given the amount of COD at the time that I was casting. It's something different. And I think as an addition to that as well, I've made it very vocal in the past that I have my games where I would really like to cast them. I was a massive fan of Rocket League for a very long time, and I'd still happily take a stab at casting that if I could. And I think recently the one I want to cast more than anything is Magic the Gathering. It's a game that I play so much. So for those of you who don't know, it's a card game. It's real nerdy, but it's so good. It gets the noggin going. But I'd love to cast that. I think it's such a fun game to do. The only problem is that there's not many grassroots tournaments available for that, and therefore the casting opportunities for the game just aren't there.
Yeah. What I was going to say to the chat is, guys, watching at home, you can ask any question you want, of course, to Brody. Just send it in the chat, and we'll go through as we go through the list of questions I've got for him as well. The first question, I believe you just answered, though. It was from Jamie. He said, what game would you love to cast? And I believe you just said that with Magic.
Yeah. Magic, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's changed over time. Like I said, Rocket League was sort of the one that I wanted to cast for the longest time, and I just think there's the opportunities. I mean, there were opportunities, and I did absolutely ask to do it, but they just went away. And Magic again is now just sort of where I'm at, where I'd really like to give that a go.
Yeah. What did you say? Can't those games go on 4 hours? The Magic games?
No, not Magic games. The Magic games, generally speaking, are best of threes. You don't play best of ones, and each best of one game, or each one game in a best of three, can go on for about 10 minutes at the maximum. I think realistically it's very hard to make a Magic game go on for hours. If you do, you're doing something wrong. You're just trying to mess with the game. But yeah, no, probably not.
Yeah. So at what point was it throughout your casting career, or your esports commentating career, where you actually So obviously you started in Black Ops 3, you done what you did, then you obviously moving forward. Where was it you would say you took a step back and you thought, okay, I'm good at this. I can make this work, and it's something that I'm really gonna try and achieve.
I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, it's hard to pinpoint exactly when that moment was, because I don't think I've ever considered myself to be good at something. But I know I'm definitely all right at casting. However,
you're a good caster.
Sort of. I mean, I appreciate you saying it, and I like it when people say it, but I could never bring myself to say I am a good caster. But in a sense, I guess, I think I was really blessed in Infinite Warfare, having sort of like jumped straight into the role of being the main caster in the scene, in the amateur scene in Europe, online at the very least, having casted EEG and Unity and Val. And I think given that year, given that space of time where I was actually consistently casting with Assassin, with Jip, with Fossil, and it was basically just me just rolling in and out of casters. I think towards the end of Infinite Warfare, I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. And actually, to be fair, I think that kind of mindset paid off pretty much immediately. Like, World War II was easily my best season of Call of Duty casting. Not only in terms of quality, but in terms of the opportunities I was afforded, that I got to cast for Belong. And I believe I got to cast for Belong not only because of my casting ability, but because of the fact that I was actively searching for casting roles. I really wanted it, and I still do want it. I just think Black Ops 4, for me, easily probably my worst season. I didn't like Black Ops 4, not as a game, just the season itself. For me, that was a real step back.
Okay. Interesting. I thought that was one of your best works. I mean, that's where you essentially got me onto where I am now on track.
That's why it was trash, mate. It's just economist. No, was out. I'm not having that.
That's where we took it to. But interesting when you said that about, you never consider yourself a good caster. Like, in a term of the best way I can put it, would you look at that as like, so writers say a writer's block? Would you say it's like a caster's block where, obviously us casters, we go back, we watch what we do, we try and perfect and sort of fix everything we say and make it a million times better. Would you say that's where you're at? Like, you would say you're at like a caster's block where you just won't believe that, like, you are good, as you would say. But
I mean, that's the thing, right? For me, it's more of a case of I'd rather not be overly confident. I want to consider myself as, all right, I'm okay at casting, but I could do better. And I want to have that mindset continually. I want to constantly improve, as you say, and go back and look. Now, specifically speaking, I don't do that. I'm one of the people, I probably should, but I don't actually go back and look at my own casts and improve off the back of it. The only time I will look at casts is, well, two reasons. One, I might want to refer to an older game, maybe doing research for a game that I know that I'm going to be casting. Two, is to get clips for a casting reel. So that'll be the only time that I do it. Maybe not the best idea. Maybe I should go back and look at my own casts. But I would much prefer getting constructive criticism from players and from viewers, and then working off the back of that, even though that criticism is sometimes not constructive at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, it's not like I consider myself a bad caster. I just think I can always improve. But I think I'm quite fortunate in being able to understand where I need to improve.
Yeah, I mean, that's a key point, really. If you know where you're going wrong, then the only way is up realistically from there, as long as you put the work in for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like, to me, if you're a caster who has, I know it's quite controversial to say, but for me as a caster, I know my strengths, but I also know that there's a lot of weaknesses. And I think as a caster, you need to be able to identify those weaknesses. And also, I think you can never get to the point where you're perfect. Like, that's just not how it works. You can get to the point where you're confident, and I'm confident in some situations. But I just think there's always something to improve on. There's always something, whether that be in the game, out the game, the way you're treating your peers. There's always something that you can get better at.
100% agree. A question coming in from the chat from Jamie, though. Who would you love to? I'm guessing he's meaning absolutely anybody. So,
God, that's a big one. God, that is
obviously it would be me, but you've done that, so just...
I mean, I've already done it. You see, Assassin, he was great. Honestly, I've never taken the time out of my day to think about this.
I think one would be Frizz if he was still casting.
Yeah, Frizz is great.
I really liked Frizz when he was casting.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: the casting talent. I mean, the reason I'm taking so long to think about this is because the casting talent.
Oh yeah, it's incredible over the years. Wow.
I mean, it's best it's ever been right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I had to pick someone, I'd probably say Benson, just because Benson's been in COD for so long. He's a brilliant caster. He knows exactly what he's doing. And I think I don't know, there's an energy that Benson would bring to a match. He'd get you hyped, when you bring that kind of energy to a match, you bring that kind of casting, you get hyped along with it. And I think Benson's so underrated as a caster as well. People do not give him enough credit for how good he is. Like, it's incredible, just sort of how people just give him credit for being able to hype games, but he's also a very technically talented caster. So, and to do that alongside another technically talented caster like Chance, who is of course like the technically talented caster, it's something. And I think I'd give Ben a lot of credit for that, just how good he is.
I respect that. Question coming in from Ramsey: favorite podcast you've ever hosted?
I don't know what podcast I have hosted anymore. I know I did 1v1. The Fire Online was fun. To be honest, I'd probably say the Fire Online. I think the Fire Online was actually a more fun, more well-rounded experience than the 1v1, because I think the 1v1 was so tumultuous in terms of sort of what I got to do. But Fire Online was such a sort of fun little game show that we got to do. I don't think anyone has ever done anything like that, and I don't think anybody will in the near future. And it was limited as well. It's not like it was oversaturated. I think I ended up doing like 6 or 7 episodes, and that was it. So, definitely the Fire Online.
I mean, I think I was on that once with you as well.
You were. I'm pretty sure you did, shockingly.
It was the shooting the bots. I was like, oh.
All right. Well, what other podcast do you know that got Neil Guest on? You don't know Neil Guest. Neil Guest did not go on any other podcast. That's how you know the Fire Online was the best.
We love a bit of Neil. He's a good lad.
Something like that, yeah.
So, casting, it's not what it's all, what the stream sees, if you know what I mean. So, from your perspective, because I think this needs to be broken down, because you know what I'm going to ask. This needs to be broken down. Oh, yeah, okay. This needs to be broken down because a lot of people think that we seem, or in this term, you turn on the monitor and you talk. Now obviously there is a lot of not technical, but there's a lot of more background stuff that goes into it while we're casting. Like, in terms of just how you are as a caster and what you actually have to do, like, can you just literally explain that to the public so people know?
I'm pretty sure people will know it anyway, but yeah, so basically I think for me as a caster, what I personally do is I have a logbook of notes. Essentially, every caster has notes. That's just how it works. If you're a caster and you don't have notes on games, you're not doing it right, and that's the thing. So I always take a notes. I have actually a I basically have a sheet which I've made now, which I just fill in with all the game scores in it, and then I write the notes on it on the fly as I need to. And that sort of that list of notes, you can take hours preparing that. I mean, it's an option. I will say, like, if you're a caster, you can spend hours on end preparing for just one match if you really wanted to. Alternatively, you could prep half an hour beforehand or not prep at all. It really, but in my opinion, at the very least, it drastically affects the outcome. So I don't know. I mean, if you remember Malta, I spent at least an hour before each day just sort of going through my notes, making sure everything was right. And I will do the same at my next LAN, whatever that is. I think for me, it's just sort of like, I expect it in a way. Like, I kind of feel like if I wasn't to do that, I wouldn't be doing my job properly, and it affects my casting as well. If I'm going onto a game without any notes, without any knowledge of what the teams are or what the maps are going to be like, how we expect the series to go, my casting is just going to be bad. That's just how it is.
So obviously in the game of casting, we have the two sort of roles, you could say, play by play and the colour, which I'm pretty sure not a lot of people are aware. I won't think a lot of people are aware of that.
I don't think any. I genuinely don't think many people are. Not even cast. So there are a few casters that I have met that didn't.
I mean,
know.
you taught me.
Yeah, there exactly. There are casters. That
I wasn't aware of it, so
yeah. So what's the question? What are you gonna hit me with?
So just literally explain that. So obviously, when we go into casting, we have the set standard of what people know. Me, you, George, Chris.
Yeah.
For example, you have your play-by-play and you have your colour caster. Explain those two for
right. So play-by-play caster. So obviously, as Connor just said, for you guys at home, maybe you don't know anything about casting. You have two distinct roles in any game that exist. You have play-by-play and color. So play-by-play, we'll start with that one. So play-by-play is literally you read the game as it is happening, you explain them, and that's where most of the hype goes, right? I mean that. So to sort of play it off onto a sort of maybe an example you guys will understand. We'll look at Benson and Chance. Right, so Benson is a play-by-play caster. He hypes up the game. He talks about the plays as they're happening, and he's basically the storyteller, as it were. Right, the color guy fills in for when the play-by-play isn't talking, and will explain what plays are happening on the fly just after they happen, essentially, and probably what will happen. So he's bringing that analysis during the game. Interestingly enough, I don't have a specific role. So I started off in COD playing as a play-by-play caster. Every caster is play-by-play. That is just how it works. Naturally speaking, is very, very sort of unlikely for a caster to start out as color. Because to become a caster, you to have that sort of natural first level of being able to be a caster, you kind of start as play-by-play. That's just building up being a caster, right? I started as play-by-play. I was really comfortable doing play-by-play, I think, for Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare. And for a majority of World War II, I was play-by-play. During with George, that changed. So for those of you who don't know, I mean, everyone will probably know, but George Boffers is my co-caster. He's my duo in online COD, and he's play-by-play. Now, I consider George a better play-by-play caster than myself, and for that reason, I have transitioned into more of a color caster. And I think that's benefited me greatly, actually, being able to do both having the flexibility to ask before the match with my co-caster, who maybe I've never casted before, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to do play-by-play? Do you want to do color? I really like the fact that I can just say, all right, you want to do play-by-play? I'll do color. I'm perfectly fine with that. And I can do that based on the situation. It'll also afford me more opportunities as well. So, but yeah, those are the differences. And for those wondering, I can do both.
Just in case anybody out there is wondering.
If anyone wants me, I can do both.
Not just one. He does both.
Yeah, only in COD though. I can't do color in any. Well, I could probably do color in Magic, but maybe not so much in other games. Yeah,
you love that game, but yeah, I mean, I think that's needed to be out there because a lot of people just think, we go in and we just essentially say, he's got a 2-piece, he's got a streak, etc. It's a lot more to what meets the eye. I would like to think to what the stream and to what people actually watch, and there's a lot of it that go into it as well. Of course, for what the casters do as well. I would say so.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like we said earlier, right? There's so much that goes into it from a cast perspective. You have your notes before the game starts. You sort of analyze those notes, and of course, you kind of have to keep everything up top when it's in your head. It's very easy to slip up on things. I mean, you could forget what happened to Matt previously. You could play that hard point out. You could have that in your head. There might be some key plays that happen, and you can maybe forget one or two of those key plays going into the search and destroy. So you kind of need to keep on top of things as a caster.
Question coming in from the chat from Jamie again. Are you looking forward to casting EG Mortal 3?
If I was casting EG Mortal 3.0, I would be looking forward to it, given that the opportunities for lands in the European scene are absolutely terrible. But I don't know. I'd love to cast EG Mortal. Who knows what will happen?
Another question from Jamie. I actually like this one. What tips would you give to someone wanting to start casting?
At this point, it's a little bit different. So I think my answer for this has changed. over the past year and a bit. If you would have asked me this in Infinite Warfare, I would have said it's very easy to get into casting. It's very easy to find your place. Just literally ask an amateur league, and they'll probably afford you an opportunity. That being said, now I think things are a little bit different because the amateur scene is a lot more packed with casters at both the CDC level and, of course, at our level in the online leagues. You have casters coming in from other games. I know there are at least a couple of notable casters in Overwatch that are trying to make their way into Call of Duty. And at our level as well, I think we've kind of clogged up the amateur leagues in a way. I think it's kind of hard. I do know those opportunities are still there, though. I mean, there's always new leagues coming in. There's always new competitions that need to be casted. But I would say it's much harder to do so. And I think something that maybe people who want to get into casting could potentially do, just ask your friends to cast over the scrims. And the likelihood of it is you can record those games. Maybe you don't have OBS, maybe you don't have Elgato. Okay, if you don't have those, just practice. Just get into a flow. And then if you feel comfortable with then asking to cast tournaments, say, look, I just want to do a match for free in the regular season, the likelihood of it is you will probably get to do that because people love free casters. So, you know, literally. So there's always opportunities to cast, but it has got harder, I think.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail when you said we've sort of clogged up the AM scene.
I feel bad in a way because I don't, I love the amateur scene and I love casting the amateur scene. But I feel like, it hasn't naturally progressed as well as it is as I'd have liked it to. Put it that way.
Question coming in from Stano. One for you both. What has inspired you into esports, whether it be owning a team, casting, or playing? I'll let you go first.
For me, personally, this is a bit of a weird one. Esports specifically, I didn't care about it until, well, I had my first sort of insight into esports in 2011, actually. So I was a solid like 12 years old at this point. I watched COD XP. And that was really interesting. I watched like the grand finals, and I didn't touch esports again until the following year, or not the following year per se, but the following game in Black Ops 2, which is, I think, is everyone's open into Call of Duty esports, which is, of course, Black Ops 2 champs. It was an insane tournament, and everything was perfect. It was the perfect game. It was at the height of what I would consider my gaming life. So at the time, I was deep into games. Like I was coming home from school, and as someone who my escape was gaming, I wasn't the most popular kid in school. I'm pretty sure anyone could probably guess that. My escape was games. So I'd come home from school every day and I'd play games for a solid 6-7 hours until bed. That was just how I played, and that was my sort of life at the time. And I was deep into games. I was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 consistently, GTA 4 consistently. I was playing, I think Mass Effect came out around that time as well, Mass Effect 3. That was a brilliant game. And I think at the time, everything I loved about Black Ops 2 and about gaming, it was amplified in that sort of Black Ops 2 tournament in esports, as it were. Everything in that tournament was perfect. The casting, the gameplay, the storylines, I understood them from the off. And I think just like that, I fell in love with Call of Duty esports. And to be fair, I think I took a couple of years where I was just playing the game casually in esports. By that, I mean I had friends that played comp settings and played GBs, but that was really it. But yeah, Black Ops 2. I know it's kind of that's a long-winded answer just to TLDR, Black Ops 2.
I mean, yours is pretty much similar to mine. I think I found my footing into esports with playing literally with friends. One of my friends said, "Have you heard of Game Battles?" It's literally your ironic story. Have you heard? No, I haven't. Oh my god! Like that, get an account, let's play. I think it was really that, and that was in Call of Duty. Then going on from that, I never really thought about it again. Then come Black Ops 2, as you said, it was then I think this is where I started to dive really into this amateur scene and trying to, making friends and figuring out who was who and who was what. And obviously, I met a few of my very good friends through this scene. You included, don't worry. And then obviously, I think it was just literally playing GBs and everything like that. I think that just kept me within esports from then. Just game battles, literally just game battles and friends. I think that was mainly just it. I think that's for everyone.
Yeah, game battles is sort of the
Pinnacle.
kickoff point now.
Yeah.
Not anymore, maybe. I
Yeah.
think definitely it's now more of a split between sort of CMGs and stuff like that. But yeah, game battles was the OG. It still is, to be fair. I think if you were still to search for games, you could absolutely find them.
Oh, 100%. Question coming in from Jamie. You have one event you can choose from, past, present, or future. Which would you cast? So I'm guessing any event, CDL, main, whatever.
Future. Give me. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'll cheat this a little bit. If I had to pick past, I'd pick a COD Champs. Easily a COD Champs.
What one?
Specifically speaking, I would probably look to do Black Ops 4 Champs. The storylines going into that. For me, Black Ops 4 Champs is possibly one of my favorite events to watch of all time. It was an insane event. It was a goodbye, really, to the amateur scene. I think, in a way, from the pro scene.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, right? You look at that event with the storylines that came in. I mean, imagine getting the opportunity to cast Team Singularity doing what they did to everyone. Imagine getting to cast the moment that I've forgotten the team name now. Oh my god.
Describe it.
Oh god, I forgot the team name.
Describe what happens.
No, Genji. There we go. I forgot Genji's name. Imagine getting to cast the moment that Genji lost Impulse. Imagine that. I mean, just that event was electric. It was an incredible event just to watch from home, and I wish I could have been there. But easily my favorite event, I think, in the past few years. If I had to pick future, you know what I'm going to say. I'm obviously going to pick casting Minnesota Open. I mean,
really?
Minnesota Open. I love the amateur scene.
I wouldn't. Oh, the Open, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, I really. I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but I absolutely want to get involved with the open events this season. If it doesn't happen, I understand why. I mean, there are people ahead of me in the line that deserve it. I could name so many that deserve their shot at casting the open events. And I'd Minnesota Open. I mean, I'd love to cast amateur leagues and open events this season.
I mean, shoot your shot, my guy.
Maybe. We'll see. I mean, look, if anyone's watching this, you're probably not. But if anyone's watching this that has the power to put me up on the Minnesota Open main stage as a caster, by all means, both. I can do color. I can do play-by-play. I'm your man.
As he drinks the drink.
Yeah, I'm a Mountain Dew.
He's your man. I mean, I'm intrigued. What would you say? I think I know one, but I want to know both. I might be wrong though.
Go on.
What would you say is your best moment and worst moment in your casting career?
Oh god, that is really weird. Actually, best moment,
as in anything. So it could be a LAN event you casted. Could be a certain match, a team, a grand finals.
Boy, this is really hard. Actually, I think. This is horrible. This is a horrible question. Because for me personally, this is hilarious, right? Because for me, I feel like my casting career has just been sort of like a continuous trail of sort of mediocre moments, right? If I had to pick one, I'd probably say the EG Multi Grand Final. I really enjoyed that. It was my first LAN Grand Finals outside of Belong, and that doesn't really count because it was a straight 3-0 and it was pretty, as I say, mediocre. Oh God! I mean, honestly, worst moment. It kind of. I don't know. This is. I don't think I have a worst moment. That's the thing, right? I think I've never been hitting rock bottom, as it were, in esports. I've never felt like that. I think I've had bad moments. I think actually the EG Multi Grand Final is one of them where it just.
That was my one.
Yeah, it just.
I thought that would have been your pick.
It's sort of like. For me, in that moment, I was super pissed off. And I think, players don't understand the amount of work casters put in. For us, it's a lot harder than players, in my opinion, at the very least. It's much harder to become a caster in esports. I'm going to say it's much harder to become a caster in Call of Duty esports than it is to become a professional player. 100%. And the reason I say that is because, as a player, you get multiple chances to prove yourself. If you're not good enough, the likelihood of it is you're not going to make it, and that's just it. If you are good enough, It's all about your attitude, really. You just got to get yourself in the right circles, and bing, bang, boom, you're in there, right? As a caster, it's more of a sort of, you have to be recognized, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not so straightforward. If the opportunities aren't there, which in Europe they are simply not, there are very, very little opportunities as a caster in European Call of Duty. That is just how it is. It's sort of just like, you're not going to get there, right? And for me in that moment, EG Motor, first LAN event, it took me 2.5 years to get to my first LAN event in Call of Duty. Had my first grand final, and a player just decides to bitch and whine and almost ruin it for me. And I think a lot of the people who sort of understood the situation kind of were on my side, and mine and George's side at that point, no less. But yeah, to have a player sort of shit on you for something that is their fault, no less. I mean, I still ascertain that it is their fault. I mean, they fucked up at the end of the day during that one-on-one engagement. It's not my fault that they messed up. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I think, it was that grand final was both my worst and best moments, just because, again, it's first grand final on LAN. It was an incredible atmosphere, incredible experience to have those best of fives. But at the same time, again, that last map just ended badly.
I agree. I've seen the aftermath.
We were pissed.
Oh, I was pissed for you. Now, to sort of step away from the cast, and another thing that, a reason why I find you like such a unique mind in this industry and our community is because your passion for the community and Call of Duty, it is next to nothing. Like, I think anybody could see that, and if they can't, they're a bit of a fool, because you do put in a lot of work for the community, for the AM Call of Duty scene, as it is being seen. And I think you're great at it as well. So obviously, with your content, referring to as well, you started your YouTube channel. You started to do your EG like prediction videos, your ESP prediction videos, obviously your Call of Duty champ predictions and everything as well. In regards of going down that path, what is it that still like fires you and keeps you like going about this community in this Call of Duty AM scene?
Right. First of all, I'll start off by saying, in regards to the YouTube channel, kind of let that down over the past few weeks. Haven't uploaded in ages. The reason for that is simply I've been bogged down in uni work and other stuff, so I kind of hadn't really had the time. I'm going to get back into it, though. If anyone who is subscribed to my YouTube channel and does want the content, I am going to do it. Don't worry. 1v1 is coming. I did say it is coming, and it is. Not to promote my own podcast on a podcast. But yeah, back to the question. Honestly, I feel like I appreciate that you said that, by the way. Like, it's nice to hear that people do recognize that I do really deeply care about the amateur scene. And I do. I really do. Like, everything I've done over the past 3 years, yeah, okay. I mean, it is, to an extent, it benefits me personally. Of course, I want to cast Call of Duty professionally. That's my dream at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, as well, like, this scene, it means a lot to me. Like, I love the amateur scene. I care deeply about it. I have an active role in shaping what the amateur scene looks like, at least as much as I can. I always try to do the best by the community, and I have done so for the past 3 years. And like I said, everything I do, whether it be casting the amateur online leagues, whether it be casting something like College COD, which is a grassroots esports tournament, it's why I'm doing it, because I love the community, right? And of course, as an extension of that, Belong. Yeah, again, it's another grassroots esports tournament. I love things like that. I think amateur esports is so important. Just imagine what COD would be without amateur esports. I mean,
yeah.
And I think that, to an extent, is why the CDL as a concept, it kind of worried me a bit before coming into this year. I think the way they're handling it right now is okay. Challenges is going to be great. I can't wait to see that. But the CDL, I think the separation of the pro and the amateur community, it worried me before finding out about the challenger stuff, because I was very sort of concerned that challengers wouldn't be a thing and Path to Pro wouldn't have its spotlight, but it is going to, and hopefully the amateur scene continues to grow and shine over the next few years.
Yeah, so I mean, I completely agree with what you said, and obviously, as I said, I think anybody can see that you are very passionate about the community that we are in, all as a whole, people in the chat, people that we watch this, people that, like our tweets, the day-to-day basic stuff, basically, of who we see and who we interact with.
Yeah.
Obviously, very passionate. I want to know, going forward now, you said, your content's coming back, etc. What is, your future plan now? So you've got casting, you're starting your content. Is there anything else that you would dive into that you haven't yet within esports?
I mean, that's the thing, right? At this point in time, like progression isn't a straight line. It's not, you're not walking down a straight hallway with no sort of no hurdles to jump over. There are a ton of sort of brick walls that you hit as a caster, and for that reason alone, you can't just plan your future like that. But obviously, for me, from this point onwards, it is just growth. It is just opportunities that I want. And I think hitting those kind of milestones. I've already hit one in the last year, which is casting my first LAN event. I think hitting those sort of milestones is what I really want to. Of course, the end goal is casting a Call of Duty event that's run by Activision. That's the end goal. If Activision called me up today and said, "Hey, do you want to come out on the weekend and do a Call of Duty event?" Boy, I'd be there, right, straight away. I'd clear my schedule because that's how much Call of Duty means to me as an esport and as a job, right? But like I said, at this point, all I can do really is just continue the grind, keep on going. Doing what I'm doing, casting as many online leagues, as many events as possible, and getting to meet as many people as possible within the esport. I mean, that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm working with College Card. I've already got to meet a great selection of guys, great selection of casters who are all brilliant at their jobs, both in terms of the production and, of course, just in raw talent, what they're doing. Really, really enjoy doing that. We'll see what opportunities the next year brings. Of course, Modern Warfare, we've got a long way until it's over. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get somewhere in the next year, but who knows?
I mean, I sincerely hope you do, my friend. For me, though, I'm all out of questions. Guys, in the chat, if you do have any more questions before we round this up, feel free to throw them in. Stano, though, wants to know, Nfinity, what do you do at uni?
I do politics and international relations, which is, it's fun. It's fun at the moment. It's possibly the most tumultuous time for politics I think we've ever had. Just saying, don't vote for the Tories. If you do, DM me and I'll tell you not to do it. But no, it's or Brexit Party for that matter. Please don't do that, because if you're going to do Brexit Party, just vote for Tory. But the point is, I guess, politics is really passionate. I love politics, right? I got into politics, from sixth form onwards, and or even before that, probably like year 10 or year 11. I did it in GCSEs, or I did it in A-levels, and now I'm doing it as a uni degree. But yeah, it's really horrible. I will say though, something I really don't enjoy. I don't enjoy having politics conversations. Now, I really don't. I find them so confrontational. It's like if someone disagrees with you, it's really hard to get them to bring around to your view, because a lot of people are so vehemently sort of stubborn on their view being the correct view. So I don't know. But yeah, politics, that's what I do as my degree. I've got 1 year left, so I'm doing my dissertation now. I'm starting my third and final year. Hopefully it goes well. And then after uni, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do, because I've stuck to this casting thing for 3 years and I want a job.
Wow. Hopefully that comes. How long have you got left at uni?
I finish in April. Technically, I don't know if I have any exams next year, but if I do, it'll be like May. So.
Okay, so just in case anybody is seeing this until April, hit him up. He can do both.
Yeah, I can do both. Hit me with anything. Get me to cast. I don't know, solitaire, and I'll do it. I can cast solitaire. I'm a multi-talented guy. I can do any sport you want.
What is actually? I've got one off the top of my head. What is the one mainstream esport you would like to cast, taking away Magic? So, okay, what would be your second, for example?
Mainstream, probably CS:GO. And CS:GO is sort of the closest thing to it. I to be fair, I have actually asked for CS:GO opportunities. I'm looking for them in the next year. So if I could do that, that'd be great. I've got the computer for it now. My computer's finally upgraded, so I can finally cast it properly. But I'd love to give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a bit of CS:GO. I think it would be fun to cast. I know George is heavily.
Yes,
George is heavily into casting CS:GO. He loves the game.
Mm-hmm. He does. Poor guy. He doesn't think COD's better though. It is. it's much better.
Coming from somebody that loves it, it's much better. You literally just made your own point about you can't turn someone.
You can't. I mean, to be fair, like I said, I probably couldn't be turned around in my opinion. CS:GO is it's a good game though in its own right. It has its ups and downs though. Mainly the downs being I am terrible at playing it, like really bad. I think I was last time I played it I was gold something. I don't know.
That's not that bad. Could be worse.
It could absolutely be a lot worse, to be fair.
I think for me, that pretty much rounds it up, and for the chat as well. So, Brody, I want to thank you for coming on and giving your insight into casting. I think hopefully a lot of people are going to learn something off this. I know there's going to be the YouTube video will be up and live tomorrow on the YouTube, so hopefully people will go back and sort of learn what it is like in the mind and life of a caster, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows every single day.
It's not, but I will say one thing. As much as I complain and whine about the sort of
it's brilliant
the problems, it is such a good job, and I'm ever so grateful to everyone that supported me over the past 3 years of my career in casting, and I'll be forever grateful to everyone that does support me and afford me opportunities to do what I do, even as a part-time job, which is what it currently is to me. Just a quick thank you to everyone that has, supported me, or even just vouched for me over the past few years. I really appreciate it, and hopefully, Modern Warfare is going to be a good year.
Great. I mean, I think I talk for myself and behalf of the community when we say thank you. You do quite a lot.
Don't have to thank me for anything. I'm just
people
here.
People do recognise it, which is a good thing. So I think for those people,
that.
Not a lot of people come out and say thank you, so I'll say it for you. Thank you for all that you do on the behalf of the community. And of course, you've done a lot for a lot of people. You've helped me a lot. Of course, I am where I am now because of you. I don't think I'd be anywhere near I was if you couldn't teach. Well, not teach me. I taught you.
Bitch. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, seriously. So, you're a great person, as Jamie just said. Finally, great to get to know more about you. I think that was the main purpose of this, so people get to see the voice, the sexy voice behind the screen, as you would like to say it.
Thank you. Cheers.
I will say it for you. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for episode 3 with Nfinity, or Brody, as some of you guys may know him, the voice behind the screen, the Call of Duty AM caster. He's a great lad, and he does a lot for the community. So go give him a follow. We will be tweeting out. Well, we tweeted out his socials already and tagged him in all the tweets on the Twitter. And of course, if you aren't already following the Twitter, make sure you do. Just scroll down on the Twitch. All the stuff is at the bottom in the panels, the YouTube as well. This video will be live tomorrow, so make sure you go to recheck that out if you have missed anything or you want to watch back over. But apart from that, guys, that is going to be it from me tonight. And Brody, of course, thank you for coming on again. And we'll see you later, guys.